Brian, you made a very interesting comment during your intro. You said we focus on what's in the back of the truck. And the first thing I thought about as you said that is like, hang on, how am I going to install something in the back of the truck? I mean, there's no power outlets back there. So now you want me to run, power to the back of the truck. Talk a little bit about some of the use cases and devices that you guys use for those devices in the back of the truck, and talk about something that most people don't know about, because the last day and a half we've been talking about 5G, but that's not the only network being implemented nationwide. There are networks specific to IoT devices called NB-IoT, so maybe talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure. So when they were developing the standards, a decade ago for 5G, most of the stuff you hear in the news is at the screaming high speeds, low latency, for autonomous vehicles or for, remote surgery. Getting into guys with headsets on that can look below the surface of the ground to see where the services are, where the gas line is, where the sewer, that sort of thing. And that's pretty exciting stuff. But they also recognize if they could drive down the complexity of the connection, there's a possibility to reduce the battery requirements, reduce the chipset costs, so on and so forth. And there's an element that doesn't get talked about as much with 5G, and it's basically referred to as low power 5G. And the nice thing about that is they were actually able to implement it on the existing networks today, so they can implement it on 4G today, but it's part of the 5G standard going forward. So there's two networks in particular. One's called LTE-M, M is for mobile, and the other one's called NB-IoT. So they're, as they say, they're low power. As with everything in life today, how can you optimize battery life for your vehicle, for your phone, so on and so forth. So take that and apply it to, people, they call it the Internet of Things, in this case, mobile Internet of Things. Stuff on the back of the vehicle, non-powered assets. What can I do? So the general concept, the theme that we try to describe is with battery-powered devices. If I can get a battery-powered asset tracker to check in once a day with GPS on a network, how long can I get that to last? And the design consideration, they're trying for like 6 to 10 years for a device checking in once a day with GPS. So that's the general theme with it. That low power element introduces some interesting use cases, because now you're not having to worry about changing the battery every 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years. You're getting some pretty long battery life. And in the process of doing that, it drove the chipset costs down. So we talked about doing telematics 20 years ago. Every couple of years, every decade or so, you go from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G. You get higher communication module chips. You get more features and functionality on the network side. And it used to go up, and we have to certify each of the networks. This is the first time on that curve where we actually see the chipset prices are coming down and the wireless prices are coming down. So there's a bit of disruption with the price points and the functionality. So something that can last a lot longer. You may experience this, and I talk to a lot of folks about IoT. It's just, it can be a headache trying to wrap your mind around all the different use cases. To give you an idea, so this is a solar based. So it's like the battery, except it's got a little solar panel and it's rechargeable. And basically, when we came out with this, because of the power requirements of the network, it actually allows it to rest between updates. So it's not always on. The biggest power consumers on the device are the network connection and the GPS. So basically, it allows it to go to sleep between updates. So we're working a project with MetTel with Evo Transportation for trailer tracking. So, what it does is, normally you have the truck as tracked and you somehow associate the trailer. But in some cases, there's lots of folks who maybe, contract out all the moves. So somebody else is driving the truck and I might have 5 different vendors, but those are my assets on the trailer. So if I have a device like this stuck at the top, it's recharging. It'll update every 15 minutes when it's in motion, and when it's at rest, who cares? We know it's in the same spot and allows it to recharge. And the price points for these things, they've come down to like roughly a third the cost of, or less in some cases, of what the existing technology was.